from We Publish. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm currently a third year BA student. And I have many interests and hobbies like reading and writing, which are just two. I have a lot more. Um, and I have been writing poetry for a few years now.
Okay, wow. Could you please introduce your book to us?
Yes, so Local in a Local is the title of my book. It is based on the experiences I have had while traveling to back and forth from home to college and going around my home city as well. And the focus of the book was, or the main intent was focusing on the mundane things, the lesser noticed things, the lesser noticed people. So yeah, that's what the book is about. It is a collection of poems.
Just because I'm curious, could you give one example of lesser, focused on things?
So there is this poem called Workers on Track, which basically talks about the dreams of like a worker on track would have, and how because of the social aspect of it, like the classes and all. So that's why he may dream to become like say an engineer or something, but because of being in that class or being less fine in that economic class, he will not be able to. So the poem is about that. But he does dream, and he works hard for his children. So that is what the poem is about.
Very beautifully said, and I'm sure the poem is also very beautiful. What inspired you to write about these things?
So I was thinking when I first heard about the fest, I was thinking about what I could write on. And I did want to write a poetry collection for a whole year. And while thinking, a thought came in, like, why don't I write about my travel and why don't I write about my experiences or the things I see in trains while traveling or around the city? And also, as a literature student, I do end up noticing a lot of things, the critical thought, analyzing, and all of that. So that was the basic thought process behind the book.
Writing poetry is so much more different than blogs articles, as well as normal book writing. Poetry holds a lot of different format. It has a lot of different emotions. We write a certain way for poetry for the reader to understand, but also have their own kind of meanings. So, what does your writing process actually include?
So when I sit to write, I do end up writing, but sometimes I am not sitting for writing. I'm maybe doing some work or studying, and then an idea just strikes me, and then I sit to write, and the poem just flows out. It's like a thought process, like a single thought, and it just constructs itself. So that is what my writing process is.
Have you ever faced something like procrastination or writer's block? And if you do, how do you overcome that?
Oh yes, procrastination and writer's block is the topmost thing I struggle with, but I think overcoming it is difficult for me and to anyone else who is experiencing it. But the only solution to it is writing, sitting, putting yourself in that mental space also, and in that position also to make space for your writing. So yeah, that is the solution.
Yes. And also, sometimes like writers from our generation, they feel that, something in our mind would look really amazing and really cool and beautiful. But when you write it down, it just doesn't feel the same way. Or, it just doesn't hit the exact way we want to hit it. So how do you actually process what you are actually thinking about into words?
Think for me, it is more of like stream of consciousness. So I just sit and I write, and it just like I put my thoughts down on paper. And writing is a process of trial and error. So sometimes it might hit, other times it might not. But the main thing is not perfection. It's just being able to put your thoughts on paper first, and or even on Google Sheets, Google Docs, and then making changes to it or formatting it or putting it in the way you want it to look like.
Beautifully said, Sarah. One thing I'm curious about is what would you say is the most enjoyable part of writing for you, and what is the most hardest part of writing for you?
Okay. So enjoyable is just being able to put my thoughts down beautifully words wise, or say thought wise, like putting the thought itself down, the beautiful thought, and seeing it come to life in front of me, the abstract thoughts in real life, like in front of your eyes, that. And the difficult part of it is editing. So it is quite difficult to edit sometimes, or just figure out what should come first, like what poem should come first, what should, like the order of things.
Coming to the part of book writing, what is something that you realized about yourself or your life while writing these poetry?
I first of all, I never noticed, like when you're in a train, you're of course trying to do some things to, like, it's a long journey. You're going to find things to do, and when I used to do that, I realized there are so many things going on, and I don't notice them, because once you're in the phone, once you're scrolling or reading something, then you're invested in that, and then your attention is fully devoted to that. And yeah, that is one thing. And about myself, I didn't realize I could write so many poems in such a short span, and dealing with deadlines, in the sense deadlines of college, like there were, that whole month was February, is the month of assignments for us. And so dealing with that, and dealing with writing the poems from scratch was a difficult task, but I'm glad I could manage it, and I realized I can juggle writing and college at the same time. So yeah.
This is what makes me curious. So, okay, so you told me before that you've been writing poetry since years. Okay. And you also mentioned that you had a lot of assignments and a lot of things to do while you were writing this. So, I just wanted to know what was that thing or element that, gave you the kick to actually go ahead and publish your collection?
Okay, so being a writer or author and having a book of myself that I have written has been a dream for me. I have drafts in my Google Docs of unfinished projects, and this has been a dream for me. But when I first saw about the fest, I made a decision right then and there. Okay, this is an amazing opportunity, and I'm finally getting to do what I have been wanting to do for so long. And I made the decision then and there to go ahead and do it no matter what. So um, with the assignments and all, it was definitely not easy, and I was struggling a lot. But what kept me going was the end goal of it, that is a published book, and finally just having a whole collection and telling a story through the book. So that is what kept me going.
Any plans on writing another book anytime soon?
Yeah, I am ideating something as of now. It's going a bit slow, but yeah, there are something going.
I think we all will be waiting for that. Coming back to your poetry collection, the title, Local in a Local, is very, intriguing. How did you come up with that?
I don't know. I had a whole list of titles, like I had been thinking of, that could be like maybe the poem titles or whatever. There's like a whole list. And then suddenly on the way home one day, like I was walking back home, and it just struck me I could put local in the local, which means like a local person, like a wordplay, that sort of a thing. So I was like, that sounds cool. And when it how thoughts strike like that, the inspiration strikes. So when that happened, I knew in deep down key that is the final thing. The title will work for this.
Yes, and it actually works well because even for me, when I saw the title, I was intrigued to see, what exactly does it mean and what exactly does it hold. So yeah, I mean, the titles does help the reader to get intrigued in a way or start reading in a way. There are a lot of people who want to write books, but for some reason they will always back out of it, or there's just normal pressure of putting something so personal to you on a platform or on for people to read. What would you say to those people?
That is something I have been struggling with for the past few years. I did have a poetry account on Instagram, and I did not post the poems that were too personal, that felt like too much mine to share with the world. But one thing I would say is if you're writing for someone to read, you have to put it out there. There is obviously going to be fear of judgment, the validation point of it, likes on Instagram, people not liking it, criticism coming in. But despite all of that, if you if you're writing to share, you have to let all of those fears aside and just put yourself out there, because you know it is rewarding. It is very rewarding at the end, and you will feel proud of yourself. So yeah.
I feel like, I mean, in general, everybody has this thing that, if you're not getting enough likes or enough clicks or enough, best selling, supposedly, so that is not a good book. But it is not the truth. To actually have that much of courage to write and complete the entire book and publish it on its own is a really huge achievement. One last question for you would be, what message do you want your readers to take from this collection of poetry?
So, like the intention, like I said before, the intention was to focus on the things that we don't often notice, or the mundane things. So that is basically what I would want my readers to take away from this, because there are so many things, and right now, we are so much not interested, like, yeah, we are so much into Instagram and social media and just focused on that, the validation and the doom scrolling and all of that, that we fail to notice what's out there. There are so many things out there. I also love photography and I do love nature. So even that has been a inspiration for me, and even that has made me realize that there are so many things that I do not notice because I sit on my phone all day. But at the end of the day,
Yeah, so I was just saying that, because of all these social media and all our addiction to this and our attention span becoming so low, we fail to notice every tiny detail, which is, actually beautiful in itself, but we don't get to notice them enough. We are so focused and so busy in our lives. So, this was really insightful. Thank you so much for this amazing session. And yeah, congratulations on your achievements.
and special, I want to thank you for making this so easy. The whole conversation, it was amazing talking to you. And secondly, I do want to huge thanks to Republish for organizing this thing and giving platform to me and to many such young writers to finally, and giving them that motivation to complete the book and publish it. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Sarah.